Hello everyone, Vic here with another video talking about the Halloween franchise. Today I'm comparing H2O Michael Myers versus Halloween Resurrection Michael Myers, two of the least popular versions of Michael Myers. If you pay attention to any kind of Halloween online discourse, you've seen both these characters' performances, interpretations of the characters being dissed all the time throughout the years, but I gotta be fair and fairly compare and contrast both of them, talk about the strengths and weaknesses. Let's begin with H2O Michael Myers, played by Chris Durand, who's gotten a lot of slack over the years. Well, the movie itself, H2O, has gotten a lot of slack, let's be honest. When H2O first came out, Halloween fans enjoyed it. The mainstream casual audience enjoyed it. It was a big hit movie. Critics were pretty soft on it, but overall tolerable of it. H2O had a pretty good reputation, and then as the internet grew and social media grew and more online communities came together to discuss Halloween, it seems like over the years, Halloween H2O seemed to wane in popularity as it was accused of being a Scream light sequel with Scream music, WB actors, CW actors, feeling like pretty much run-the-mill 90s style horror film in the Scream mold. And to be fair, H2O was, it was greenlit because Jamie Lee Curtis was coming back. But also, the studio wanted to take advantage of the fact that Scream was such a big hit in 1996. Scream had sort of reinvigorated the entire horror franchise. You had many Scream knockoffs. I Know You Did Last Summer, Urban Legend. All these movies came in the wake of Scream's success, and Halloween H2O followed in the same exact time period. And then, of course, having Kevin Williamson attached to it, it did have sort of a Scream feel, but I feel like that's been overblown by fans throughout the years, always compared to Scream or act like that's a huge negative thing. Sure, it doesn't feel exactly like a Halloween movie because you have the entire different atmosphere, location, so it doesn't really feel like a Halloween movie per se, but I don't think it feels like Scream either, but that's just me. Okay, that said, let's dive into the psyche, mindset, mental state of Michael Myers as we open H2O. Well, in this new timeline that ignores the Cult of Thorns storyline, brand new timeline, going down the Goosebumps Choose Your Adventure route the Halloween franchise would then keep doing over and over again. This is the start of it right here, basically. New timeline. In this timeline, H2O is basically Halloween 3. You have Halloween, Halloween 2, and now H2O. We're saying that Michael Myers did not die in the fire in Halloween 2, which, hey, Halloween 4 did the same thing. The difference is that in Halloween 4, Michael was captured and just in a coma in a hospital for 10 years. Here, Michael somehow got up from that fire and walked away. The body was never found, and now Michael's been missing for 20 years, although we do see some newspaper clippings on Dr. Loomis's wall that suggest that there's been mysterious killings all throughout the Midwest. Dr. Loomis probably fingering Michael Myers for it, but couldn't prove it. So Michael Myers has been out there in the country, I guess, moving from sewer to sewer, living underground, trying to pass his powers on to kids named Corey, and basically just doing his own thing for 20 years, or we're meant to believe in the H2O timeline. But now he's going to stumble upon Nurse Miriam's house, kill Nurse Miriam, and find the file that shows that Laurie Strode had faked her death and is in fact alive as I guess the head of a school in California. And where did he find the file that showed that? Well, it was in the file that said Laurie Strode, and Dr. Loomis, who was supposed to be protecting those files with his life to keep Laurie Strode's privacy, has completely dropped the ball on this by leaving a very easy to follow file, very easy to follow breadcrumbs for Loomis to come to Miriam's house, find the file, and now he's going to go after Laurie Strode, who has a new identity, Carrie Tate, living in California. The movie does suggest that maybe there's some idea that because Laurie Strode's son, John, is 17 years old, the connection is that, hey, Laurie Strode was 17 when she got attacked, and now Michael Myers is coming for her son now that he's 17. But it really doesn't hold up. I don't think that was the thing here. Although, hey, I mean, whatever mental connection Michael had with allowing him to know that he had a niece, Jamie Lloyd, and went after her in Halloween 4 and 5 and 6. Maybe that same thing was here, alerting him that he has a nephew, John Tate, and now he's going after Josh Hartnett. But within the movie, it never really feels like he's specifically after Laurie's son. It feels like he's still there actually to get Laurie, in my opinion. But who knows? But in terms of Michael's mindset, that's the mindset. Back up for 20 years, reinvigorated, midlife crisis no more. Michael, you don't have to go buy a 1950s Chevrolet, whatever. You don't have to get an old classic muscle car to feel like you're young again, Michael. You can just go after your sister, Laurie Strode, who's still alive, recapture your youth, go back to the nostalgic days when you were 21, hunting people and, trying to go after your sister. So that's what Michael's here to do. He's here to, I guess, recapture his youth through something. I don't know. I'm giving him motivations here because in H2O, it doesn't quite make sense why he waited 20 years to take this plight. Although personally, in my headcanon, he waited until Dr. Loomis had passed away because he didn't want to deal with a badass Dr. Loomis. So Loomis is gone, and now Michael has the green light to go after Laurie. Okay, that's getting into the sort of the mindset, mental motivation of Michael Myers, but let's talk about the performance. Chris Durand, well, of course, I mean, it's 20 years later. They weren't going to get Nick Castle back. They weren't going to bring back Dick Warlock. This is going to be a new interpretation of Michael Myers. And Chris Durand, was he the right actor for the job? Well, in watching Michael Myers' performance closely in H2O, what stands out to me is how light on his feet he is. Now, let me try to explain that. In Halloween and Halloween 2, and remember this is part 3, so this is supposed to be the same character. In those earlier ones, Michael was pretty steady. And what I mean is he walked with a sort of solid purpose, especially in Halloween 2, where he walked like he couldn't be bothered. You couldn't make that man rush for no reason at all. If the fire alarm went off, Michael Myers would take his sweet time leaving the building no matter what's going on. But H2O Michael is sort of bouncy. Like he walks fast, he moves like he's light on his feet, he reacts to things. He just doesn't have like robotic movements. And I think you could say, okay, Nick Castle didn't have robotic movements. They weren't robotic, but they did feel off. They did feel like there's something off with this guy. And then Halloween 2, Dick Warlock was full-blown robotic, as if those 6 shots had just triggered his robot mode. Again, walk with a very slow pace. But this Michael feels more like a human being wearing a mask. It doesn't feel like the shape. It feels like someone's wearing the mask. What I mean is, like, you see certain scenes, certain chase scenes where he's walking really fast. You see, like, okay, let's think when he's chasing Molly and John. When the keys drop to the ground, Michael makes such a quick movement and leans so far in, and with a knife, he's trying to first cut them, but it's like kind of all his arms are kind of flailing about in a wild way that doesn't really seem like, the patient, evil Michael Myers that we've come to know. When Laurie is hiding behind the thing and comes out and starts stabbing him, Michael misses one time and Laurie just starts stabbing him. Michael's reaction is like, again, like he's like acting like he's getting like hit with like a machine gun, like bullets are like just hitting him all over the place. He's reacting, flailing. I can't say failing today. He's acting like he's getting hit by a damn machine gun. His arms just swinging wildly about before he flies off the little balcony thing. It seems like just a lot of movement for Michael. It feels like, again, a cosplay, somebody with the Myers mask, but somebody who's more like human. And that's what stands out about H2O. His performance is very human. When he gets hit with something, he really reacts. Like it hurts him. He flies to the ground. He's like, and I understand that in this timeline, going by Halloween 2, essentially he is more human than outright Jason level monster. But if you're telling me this guy had burned to a crisp at the end of Halloween 2 and got up and walked away, I don't think that's the sign of somebody who's human. That's the sign of somebody who has superhuman tolerance of pain, healing powers, all those things. And he just reacts a lot. He reacts too much. Doesn't have to be full-blown Dick Warlock where, like, you can't imagine any reaction to anything. Like Dick Warlock gets shot in the eyes twice at the end of Halloween 2 and just, like, it's like a very quick nonchalant, like, oh, damn, my eyes are bleeding now, it doesn't work. But this Michael would have, like, flown to the ground and grabbing his eyes and, like, maybe, like, squealed and, like, oh, my eyes! Like, this doesn't feel like the same Michael from the original Halloween and Halloween 2. He feels kind of just jumpy, lying on his feet, reacting to everything, kind of nervous almost, like. And that is interesting because it kind of supports the idea that maybe H2O was a copycat. I mean, again, I've talked about this theory many times, but maybe some obsessed Michael Myers fan had went to Miriam's house, figured they'll finish the job that their idol did not in terms of hunting down Laurie Strode. A lot of these scenes of Michael and H2O do feel like a complete cosplay, copycat, someone else wearing the mask. And I know we end up getting that anyways in terms of the paramedic at the end, supposedly not being Michael, supposedly being the paramedic, even though he's mimicking Michael Myers' mannerisms and doing very weird things like grabbing his mask, not taking his mask off, going after Laurie while she's driving the vehicle, the van. That's felt like Michael to me, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not here to derail this video into is it a copycat, but Michael's very jumpy. Again, can't stress enough. Doesn't really feel like Michael. Feels like a Michael that's just not too intimidating. And also, what I mean by that is in his actions too. Michael Myers in this scene with the bathroom where the mother and the daughter are hiding in the bathroom. I'm not saying Michael need to kill them, but he does seem like he doesn't want any smoke in this movie. It does seem like he doesn't want to um, do anything out of the necessary. Like, I'll give another example. Let's forget about the woman child for a second, because it makes sense that Michael is wants to steal their car. So maybe he's like, okay, well, they're not afraid of me. Well, they are afraid of him, but there's no point in killing them. When he gets to the school and he's like kind of standing outside where LL Cool J, the security guard, is, he keeps like staring inside, hiding behind the thing, doing all these things. It really would behoove Michael to go ahead and take out the security guard. The security guard who's there to protect the school. I mean, that's someone that needs to be eliminated, Michael. I mean, if you don't take him out, he's probably going to come back to go against you later on in the movie. So why wouldn't you kill him here? It seems like Michael looks at LL Cool J and says, listen, I don't want this smoke. I'm not going to mess with this dude. And that again just seems like kind of different from Halloween Michael, Halloween 2 Michael. Again, doesn't have to be like a Jason type killer. I like the restraint and allowing this movie to go back to Michael only sort of killing when necessary that we had saw in the initial Halloween. But this Michael, I mean, he doesn't really seem that intimidating. He doesn't want any smoke with LL Cool J's character. He attacks Charlie, the teen, which is pretty much an easy kill. Kills his girlfriend. Goes after Molly and John. Molly again, like, hits him in the face with a rock, and Michael's like, damn, out for the count, nearly damn unconscious from that. So just like, does he seems like a Michael Myers that you'd be comfortable fighting one on one. Like, if you had to fight him, you'd be like, all right, this dude is seems pretty small, pretty skinny. He's jumpy. He's light on his feet. He looks like he doesn't weigh that much. Like when I hit him, he actually reacts like it hurts him. So I don't know. It's not the ideal, most intimidating version of Michael. Coming off of remember this is coming off of Curse of Michael Myers. Can you imagine some of these things happening to Curse Michael? Curse Michael would have looked at these characters and be like, and just killed them. Just no reaction to Molly hitting him in the face. No reaction to Laurie hitting him in the back with a fire extinguisher. All these things that like really hurt Michael here. Even kneeing him, kneeing him in the midsection area that Laurie does. I just don't think Curse Michael would have any reaction here. And again, it doesn't have to be Curse Michael or Cult Michael or even Halloween 2 Michael, but I do think this is a pretty soft interpretation of Michael Myers. And now let's talk about the mask for a second, because a lot of people hate the mask because there's many masks. We don't know which mask is the real mask here, but in the opening scene of H2O, when Michael first walks in and Miriam first sees him, he's wearing the damn Curse of Michael Myers mask, and it looks amazing. And if they just maintained that, just kept that, it would have been so much better. Instead, you just get a mask where you see way too much of Michael's eyes. We don't want to see his eyes, especially in this canon. His eyes were supposed to be shot out at the end of Halloween 2. Why do his eyes look perfectly fine here? I mean, if you're going to make it a sequel to Halloween 2, you got to keep up some of the continuity here. Just cover up his eyes. Like, he's a lot scarier when we can't see his eyes, like in Curse of Michael Myers. Too much eyes, terrible mask, jumpy movements. In terms of strength, well, the most impressive thing Michael does in this movie is when he comes down from the top of the ceiling with one arm, because that takes a ridiculous amount of arm strength for sure. But other than that, I mean, Laurie Strode comfortably goes after him, takes him out, ends up winning basically hand-to-hand combat, which again she does actually do again in Halloween Ends, and even you could say Halloween 2018. But overall, this is one of the weaker versions of Michael Myers. Now, it's not a knock on Chris Durand. He was hired. He did his thing. If they wanted something different, the director could have talked to him about it, or they could have hired someone else. But by hiring him and kind of the script the way it was, they kind of led Michael Myers to being a weaker version, but I don't actually put that on the actor per se. Okay, let me take a moment to drink some tea real quick. Okay, now let's move on to Halloween Resurrection Michael Myers, which is played by Brad Laree, who is a stuntman in movies like Shanghai Noon and X-Men 2. And, this is a couple years after Halloween H2O. After Halloween H2O, of course, within this canon, it was a paramedic who got his head chopped off. So the real Michael, in a paramedic costume, had disappeared in the woods, probably hitchhiked his way back to Haddonfield, back to wherever, maybe stopped off at McDonald's, had a Happy Meal, a strawberry cream pie. Who knows what Michael's been up to the last couple years, but now he's finally decided to come back and finally finish his job and kill Laurie Strode because Jamie Lee Curtis didn't want to make any more Halloween movies, so she's done, killed in the first opening 10 minutes. What do I think about Halloween Resurrection, Michael? Well, I don't hate Halloween Resurrection, Michael. Let me talk about the improvements I see over H2O, Michael. First of all, I think the mask is actually a lot better here than it was in H2O. The eyes aren't in your face the way the H2O mask was. The mask looks a little bit meaner, a little bit hardened, and I also think that the acting performance of Michael is not as jumpy. So again, this feels more like H2 Michael, Halloween 2, and Halloween initial Michael because he walks a little bit slower. He's a little bit more robotic in his movements, and I think that feels more like Michael Myers. If H2O felt like a copycat killer, this does feel more like the real Michael. I buy this more than I buy H2O actually being Michael. Like I wouldn't think that Resurrection Michael is a cosplay or a copycat. He has those robotic movements. He doesn't react to things as much. And he feels more like a badass than I would say than H2O Michael. Of course, they sort of throw a lot of this out the window when Busta Rhymes decides to kick his ass, and countered by the character Freddy. Michael doesn't know what to do, gets karate kicked, karate chopped, flies out a window. All this stuff happens to him at the end of Resurrection. But the mask is better, the movements are better. In terms of kills, I mean, he doesn't really have to show much strength here, to be honest. He does have the cunningness to trick Laurie Strode at the very beginning in terms of how he kills her, although it makes no sense because he's doing the thing where he's like grabbing his mask like the paramedic did in H2O to try to confuse Laurie. But how would Michael even know that the paramedic did that? Michael was back at the school still. Did he run all the way down to where this van had crashed and watch this whole sequence play out? I was like, okay, I'm going to save that for 4 years later and trick Laurie. I was in his bag of tricks. Maybe Michael's a genius. I don't know. But I do overall like Resurrection Michael more than Halloween H2O Michael. The thing with Resurrection Michael is there's just not too much to say about him. Mindset wise, he's going home for retirement. He wants to go back to his house, watch some soap operas, chill out, gain some weight, maybe try some pumpkin spice Oreos. Who knows what Michael wants to do with his free time, but now that he's killed Laurie Strode, the idea is like, hey, I'm done. He left the knife to the clown dude at the asylum, and now he's going home to chill, but he finds these danger-tainment assholes have taken over his house. He's going to kill them one by one. Not the most interesting storyline, not the most interesting characters, not much for Michael to do. He kills all these people relatively easy. Um, he does have one kill that I feel like H2O was missing. He does have just grabbing a guy by the face and crushing his head in. And that was something that, again, feels like Michael Myers. Well, I guess it feels like Jason too, but it feels like Jason and Michael, sequel Michael. And that kind of strength wasn't really shown in any kind of H2O kills. H2O kills felt like, for the most part, that Michael he needed the knife to be effective. Without the knife, he was pretty weak. But Resurrection Michael does feel like you take away his knife, he can still just crush your cranium in with his bare hands. So I got to give them credit for that. Both movies didn't really have memorable kills, to be honest. Most of the kills are relatively whack, I would say, relatively unmemorable. H2O and Resurrection are not my favorite movies. I do prefer H2O over Resurrection, but I'm running into the same quandary that I had with Halloween 4 and Halloween 5. If you put Resurrection Michael in H2O, it makes H2O better. So even though H2O is a better movie than Resurrection, if you could replace Resurrection Michael with H2O Michael, you have a better movie. So we're faced with these sequels where sometimes you have the better movie, but then they get Michael wrong. H2O is one of my favorite sequels, but like Halloween 4, I feel like Michael Myers is sort of the weak point of the movie. With that said, let's talk about Who would win in a fight? Well, based on my commentary the last 20 minutes, it's clear as day. Halloween Resurrection Michael. Oh, this is a tough one though because okay, H2O Michael was defeated by Laurie Strode, and Halloween Resurrection Michael was defeated by Busta Rhymes. Well, I think that Busta Rhymes took advantage of Resurrection Michael just being like totally flabbergasted by what the hell is going on. Is this dude actually trying kung fu on me? I think he was confused and just like, I don't know what the hell is going on. I don't know how to react to this. I'm stunned. And then it was kind of like a stunning knockout. It was like Buster Douglas taking on Mike Tyson just out of nowhere, a shock. Whereas I think that H2O Michael lost to Laurie, not shocked, just incompetent, just not a good killer. So, and hey, Resurrection Michael was able to take out Laurie, which H2O Michael was not. So I do think if they were in the same room or in the same movie hunting each other, I do think Busta Rhymes ass kicking aside, I do think Resurrection Michael does take out H2O Michael one on one. And I do think H2O Michael is the weaker version, weaker interpretation, weaker character. I just think that the jumpiness of H2O Michael is the reacting, overreacting as if he feels too much pain, too much human being. Resurrection Michael feels a little bit more like Zombie Michael again, which I'm not saying I love all the sequel Michaels, but I just think it works better to keep Michael intimidating, although shame on you for having Busta Rhymes whoop that ass at the end of Resurrection. It's okay, though. It's still not as bad as what Corey would do to Michael in a future sequel in a sewer. All right, so anyways, that's my comparison of H2O Michael versus Resurrection Michael. If you enjoy this video, please in the comments, let me know who you prefer, H2O Michael, Resurrection Michael, and please subscribe to this video if you have not. Trying to make the slow climb to 1,000 subscribers, which actually takes a lot of videos, it appears, but hopefully we'll get there one day. Gonna have some more Halloween content. Gonna actually compare Rob Zombie's Halloween versus Rob Zombie's 2 Halloween. And also very soon, I'm going to be doing a lot of Friday 13th videos, as that's also a franchise that I love a lot. I feel like with all the Michael love, I don't want anybody to think I'm only a Michael Myers fan. I'm a huge Jason fan.